Serious horror movie enthusiasts, what's the most terrifying horror movie you've seen? REC is an amazing Spanish found footage zombie movie. It starts slowly with a documentary film crew following a team of firefighters, but once it kicks into high gear it becomes a relentless, claustrophobic, violent hell ride. The Ring. We used to have one of those old combos, where the VCR was built right into the TV. It was a piece of shit that I picked up secondhand, but it worked fine. Except for the fact that it would randomly turn itself on every once in a while. Prior to watching The Ring, that feature was a mild annoyance. Afterwards, it was terror-inducing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I still can't watch it alone, and I still can't figure out how they did some of the special effects for that movie. The Witch. Finally, which is how witches should be. Love the choice to use period-correct language, even though I had to keep the subtitles on to help follow along. I don't think I would necessarily call it terrifying, but the original Austrian version of the movie Funny Games really disturbed me when I watched it. It was really good, but I don't think I would care to watch it again. The Changeling from 1980. No sex. No violence. No gore. Purely cerebral. My metal! My metal! My metal! Don't think it's a true horror, but I've already watched A Quiet Place twice. Beautiful movie. The Conjuring, the first one. No horror movie quite tops that movie for me. From the soundtrack to the eerie vibe that whole movie gives. For me it's probably Rosemary's Baby, but not because of the whole demon baby thing. The real horror of that movie is psychological. Its depiction of emotional abuse is way too real for anyone who has experienced it firsthand. Shudder, the original Thai version. I love scary movies, that's the only time I've ever found a film too scary. Sinister LOL. Session 9, that movie really creeped me out. Probably my favorite of the horror genre. It's just a really good movie. Read most of the top comments. Can't believe no one mentioned The Descent. Event Horizon. The French version of Martyrs 2008. The horror mostly comes from the psychological part, but the gore is pretty gnarly, too. Insidious scared the shit out of me. Mainly because of the red-faced demon behind the main character. It was something I definitely did not expect. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. That never happened to me. But my favorite was The Awakening. Absolute masterpiece. I actually cried near the end because it was so sad and emotional. Definitely check it out. Dark Skies. I love aliens and was never really scared of them. But then I watched that movie and it freaked me the fuck out. Now I'm scared shitless of aliens. This is coming from someone who never gets scared. Wouldn't thou like to live deliciously? Horror movies rarely terrify me anymore. I think I'm a bit desensitized to them. Most recently, the It remake did manage to make me recoil because it was disturbing. But nothing terrifying, however. A few scenes have stuck with me over the years because of how terrifying they were when I first watched them. The Exorcist, stairs crab walk thing made me nope TF away from the TV. Carrie, the final scene. No spoilers. Excellently done. Paranormal Activity. Not the movie itself, but a trailer for. First time I watched this I was really high, and for like the first 20 minutes I didn't realize they were using period-correct language. I just thought I got so high I couldn't comprehend English properly. Know a place I could watch this? I can only find the shitty English dubs of it. It ranks as one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. The practical effects were and in many ways still are fantastic. Beyond the alien gore, the story and mistrust between the team really made for an interesting cinematic experience. 10/10 film for me. In my opinion, it's totally The Strangers. Why are you doing this to us? Because you were home. Goosebumps handflesh every time. How amazing were those child actors? Not only could they speak the language consistently, but they were completely believable throughout the whole movie. I rarely see adults act that well. I haven't been able to stop thinking about Adult Swim as this house has people in it since I watched it. Utterly bizarre and terrifying. Little kids killing their whole family. Noped the fuck out when I saw the lawn mower scene. Finally, witches how witches should be. I agree. No pointy hats and warty noses. Genuinely dangerous and disturbing baby killers, worshippers of Satan. I love it. TBH, both 1 and 2 freaked me the fuck out. That nun in point 2. Fuck that. Threads. To give context, I have watched most horror films all the way through without getting freaked out or flinching at gore, jump scares, and what have you. I am a connoisseur of misery. I thought Martyrs was a nice little movie to watch with a cup of tea and a biscuit, and Goodnight Mommy was lots of fun. There is something about Threads, much as I love it, that gets you at the marrow. Maybe it's because the people in it strike you as being real people, not particularly attractive or... I just watched it last week after hearing about it for so many years on Reddit threads like this one. The effects haven't aged well and look kind of silly, but the psychological horror is top-notch. What I love is that in the very first encounter the guy is like, "Get the flamethrower!" Like they are not fucking around, and the thing still outsmarts maneuvers them. Then the paranoia takes hold. I wish more horror movies had smart protagonists, and even smarter monsters. Creep Part 1. No monsters, no gore. The most unsettling thing is the fact that it can actually happen, to anyone. It follows. The movie is just so damned good at keeping you tense and creeped out without resorting to cheap scares too often. The soundtrack is a masterpiece too, IMHO. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It isn't even Leatherface that really scared me, it was the crazy dude that the teenagers picked up in the van. He scared the shit out of me. I was like 13 when I first saw that movie and I didn't watch it again for several years just because of that guy. Candyman 1992. I saw this when I was pretty young. I grew up watching classic horror movies and shows like Tales from the Crypt. Even from a very young age that stuff didn't bother me. I was probably about 7 when I saw Candyman, and it bothered the fuck out of me. I had nightmares for a month. I think it was the scene where she's crawling out of the fire with the baby and her skin is all burned off. Or the ribcage full of bees. The only movie I haven't been able to finish is Monster 2002. The Thing is the standard by which I measure all other horror films. They're not horror movies in the truest sense, but Funny Games 1997, along with Irreversible, are probably the 2 most unsettling films I have seen. I couldn't finish it either because it was so bad. Half the time those interviews made me feel like I was watching a comedy sketch about serial killers. The matter-of-fact presentation about everything concerning the serial killer wasn't realistic at all and took me out of the movie, and the bad acting and distortion effects on the found footage sections was something out of a high school film club production. I love horror movies. But the movie that has frightened me more than any other was the children's movie Watership Down. The terror begins with weird jittery 2D animation with wafty watercolor backgrounds. The effect is very dreamlike and unsettling. Like looking at abstract art that moves. Then Fiver the runt rabbit of the Owls and whispers the fields, they're covered with blood. And you watch as cloddy orangey watery blood oozes onto your TV screen. The Sixth Sense still haunts me. Not only is it terrifying, it's so heartbreaking in some scenes. Dark Water. The original Japanese version. Fuck me. It depends what kind of fear you're looking for: existential, gore, psychological, etc. My tops though are Antichrist deeply violent, but more than that, this film will malinger in your skull and make you repulsed by the idea of sharing a bed with a significant other. What cruelty we commit upon each other in the name of love. The Conjuring director James Wan is brilliantly skilled at creating an atmosphere where there doesn't need to be anything there to make you shit your pee. Eraserhead, not a horror as such, but just bizarre and pretty fucked up. I think due to the style of prosthetics it disturbs me, but also I feel like I can't get enough of it. Fantastic movie. But warning to everyone. Do not watch the sequels. This was the first film my boyfriend and I watched together. Insidious is the first movie I can ever remember giving me actual nightmares. Not only did the plot make me not want to sleep, but that freaking old lady face and the red-faced demon woke me up for like a solid week. LMAO. Ju-on Isnt the scariest film I've ever seen, but there are certain aspects about it that make it terrifying. When the social worker, Rika, walks up to the house and a huge chill gets sent up her spine. That, plus the creepy sound cue and the low angle of the house, sent chills down my spine. The house is a real place. The sharply angled staircase link. Why wouldn't you consider it true horror? I love horror and sort of horror thriller movies and was thinking of seeing this. This is probably one of the few horror movies I've only seen once, and that wasn't a piece of trash. I've seen more horror movies than I can count that make Troll 2 look Academy Award for Best Picture worthy. The nihilism of it just has never really been tried in American movies. Even in American torture porn, there's almost always a reason of acceptance of why the victims are victims. In Martyrs, the main girl was tortured just because. That was the most silent movie theater I have ever been in. The movie did a really good job of making you feel like you there. Lights Out was terrifying, especially if you have any real exposure to the depression angle they were going for.